Growing up, my block was a mix between Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street. Crack hit my neighborhood in the early 80s, and you could follow the trail of white feet to the suburbs. All of a sudden, my world changed. My Asian, white, and Indian neighbors were gone. There was no variety left, only those with no capes who could not escape. That is the earliest point in my life I remember pondering the place and space I was in and its acceptance of me. Grew up not quite a corner boy, not a thug, from chef to patrolman. Friends don't come around no more, and I can't hang out at the liquor store. I don't belong here. I moved closer to work because I love this job so much. What a mistake that was. The economy hit rock bottom and white flight was in full swing again. Those I spent my career arresting began to move into the homes that my neighbors left vacant. The sun would rise again and I was greeted by newfound looks of recognition. My kids could no longer play outside. Shots were now being fired in my backyard, and my wife would call for me to come home and check on her and the kids, but I could not, and my colleagues could not. We don't belong here, she'd say. Attempted break-ins of my house were commonplace, to the point the entire first floor was fortified. I bought a dog to watch out for my family when I could not. They tried to steal that dog. So I got creative and acquired another dog that only liked us, and the foolishness stopped. I knew this was a temporary fix. So we followed the vein of the highest test scores in Michigan's public educational system, which at the time led us to Rochester Hills. Early on, there were signs. My oldest son came home one day saying, "My friend only acknowledges me when his white friends are not around." We told him, "He is not your friend." I know it hurts, son, but it is better you learn these lessons now than later. The minor incidents continued after we bought our house. From being mistaken as the landscaper when tending the yard to neighbors striking up odd conversations designed to elicit responses that would satisfy their curiosity as to whether I lived there or not. And the neighborhood was whispering, "You don't belong here." And finally, it landed at my feet and I could no longer ignore it. My son came home and told me he was called a nigger on the school bus. Fast forward through one of the toughest years of my life to now, and we find ourselves leading a small civil rights movement, along with an investigation into the racism that has been allowed to find comfort and thrive in this community, its schools, its government. There is no place left here that racism has not touched in one way or another. Can you imagine, as a kid, being lost where you live, halting to get help, thinking, "Please don't shoot," but start shooting? He did. Imagine that. Now imagine if that kid was white and not black. If that change in color changes how you feel, think about what within yourself has just been revealed. Politicians will tell you this is the safest city in Michigan. Safe for who? As long as my skin matches the color of you, boy, you don't belong here. Big city detective now. I turn on the TV and what do I see? People being killed that look like me. Not by others that look like me, but by blue brothers and sisters that lock up my brothers and sisters that look like me. On the street they say, "You ain't my brother. We ain't cool. You are Uncle Tom. You a fool. You don't belong here." I take off my badge, my uniform, and what do I see? That I am no different than all of the dead folks that look just like me. I don't belong here. So where do I belong? The privilege this piece of tin affords me is not ever present, but its power provides a glimpse into a world that is an area of denial dependent on skin tone. In that world, I get to see how plans for black and brown lives are laid out. I am never fully included. My presence, merely tolerated, because I identify with the targets in this environment. He is able to think like them, they say, used as a scout to find pockets of crime that are merely a section of the population, using the primitive tools possessed not to flourish, but to exist. I don't belong here. We have now come to a point where I realize that my tourist visa has an expiration date, My access to this system has afforded me the opportunity to show young children how to live life better before they make the mistakes that permanently remove their voices from society. Mainstream media is a prostitute. It weaves and cultivates a narrative of misery from a loom of white supremacy, giving each thread brilliant color from the varying blood types of discarded black bodies. Like a thick fog that makes it difficult to see without the right lens, that there are black superheroes in the ghetto. You just need to know where to look. They are single mothers. They are our teachers. They are the ones that remain behind on the battlefield to make sure our children see representations of themselves as professionals in future society. Reinforcing the belief system born from the thought, if I don't see myself represented, I won't believe. That cape hanging on that wall over there, it belongs to me. Shattering the myth that heroes only come in one color. There are those that see value in you even if you don't see it in yourself. Here, it is here, in this place, where one's love for humanity begins to mend that which has been severed by society. This place is where I belong.